Hey class, how we doing? Seth Davis here, and I'm here with my persuasive speech, and I'm going to talk about should public schools allow prayer? This is something that is dated back, that was passed by Congress, the separation between church and state, which I guess we all kind of understand and get when it comes to what's going on within our government, that certain religions can't be, put into government and used throughout. But when we're talking about stuff and raising our children and raising our youth and something that's a very important nature, I think it's very important to understand that teaching our kids the right morals and beliefs, and we came from somewhere. We didn't just spawn from aliens on this planet. They need to know who and where they came from. I know lots of people in the world have different beliefs, but the one thing that's great about the Bible and reading in the Bible, and for those of us that are believers, is doing the right thing. And in 1962, Regent School's prayer was done and given out every morning, and it was just a little bit of spiritual training to encourage good moral character, behavior. It was for the juvenile delinquent kids and others with conflict, and the Regent prayer was it wasn't forced upon anybody, but it was there, and it was something that helped set up a good foundation for our kids. If we could go out there and we could teach our kids what 2 plus 2 is, why can't we teach them, where they came from? And I think it's very important for us to be able to set that good foundation, as what we see in this 21st century, of how kids aren't necessarily, going down the right path. We have all of this teen pregnancies type stuff. We need to be able to teach them from square one, from ground zero, and why can this be done in private schools? What about those kids that need a little bit of Jesus in their life, and they can't get that because of these rules and laws that there's this separation. I don't think it's right for us to not allow that and not push that on our kids, because I think ultimately in the end that's going to help set up a great foundation and structure for society in the world. They do it. I mean, if you look over overseas in countries of China and Germany and Russia, they so not saying that it's the greatest thing or it's the right thing what they push, but they allow those things to happen, and they're firm believers in it and they understand it, and that's why you could see, sometimes when you go into other worlds and other economies, and I know going on vacations and trips overseas, and you see a lot of great stuff. You see a great culture, and I think that for us, that's where our culture needs to start. It needs to start in the classroom. It needs to start with us teaching kids about the Lord and teaching them about Jesus and the important understandings of it. Just because people don't necessarily have the right and same religions, I'm not saying that we have to teach them who an almighty God is, or that they have to worship the Virgin Mary, or they need to worship Buddha, or whatever it may be. But there's a lot of stuff from our Christian values that can really set up success for our kids. And I think that this is something that needs to be put in at a very young age, and they could soak that up like a sponge, and I think it could help reduce crime rates. It could help keep kids positive. It could help show them the motivation, that we do forgive, that people do things wrong, and there's nothing wrong with forgiving, and teaching them about not being judgmental, because we all have our stories and we all have our past and we all have things that goes on, and the way that having prayer in the schools, it doesn't necessarily have to be of nature of pushing one's religion on somebody, but just teaching them the right set foundation. No different than we do when we're teaching them proper grammar, and we're teaching them how to write a sentence, and we're teaching them what a mathematical equation is. Kids obviously have sources at the click of their fingers, and if we're able to get things in there and teach our kids the right way, I think it could really help set a great structure for what we need in our local communities and overall our government. Because the majority of our population, I feel, knows and understands that we didn't necessarily spawn here from aliens, and I think that this could be a great impact on our society as a whole, and by getting positive prayer and places for kids to have a safe place within our schools. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed.